In today's hyper-connected digital world, the smartphone has become almost inseparable from its owner. For most people, it acts as a playground of distractions, a hub of entertainment, and a stage for social validation. Yet, for the Sigma male, it takes on a very different role. His phone is not a toy or a tool of dependency. It becomes an intentional extension of his inner universe. Unlike others who use it to seek constant stimulation, the Sigma male transforms his device into a personal fortress of focus, discipline, and autonomy. Every app, note, and file is deliberately chosen, forming a digital environment that mirrors his values of independence and intentionality. His phone is less about displaying status or chasing approval, and more about preserving clarity, fueling growth, and safeguarding his solitude. 1. The soundtrack of focus. Playlist with purpose. Music is often overlooked as background noise, but for the Sigma male, it is much more than casual entertainment. His playlists are carefully crafted to serve as tools for self-regulation and mental sharpening. Music as therapy. Rather than pouring his emotions into public spaces or conversations, the Sigma male uses his playlists as private therapy sessions. Songs become mirrors of his unspoken thoughts, whether it's a melancholic tune helping him release hidden sadness or a rhythm that echoes his inner storm. The music allows him to process complex feelings silently and effectively. Music as strategy. When facing important decisions or projects, he doesn't rely on chance. Instead, he curates specific soundtracks to induce concentration and flow. Each piece of music acts as a mental switch. Classical compositions for analytical clarity, powerful beats for determination, or ambient sounds for creative immersion. Music is fuel. On days when motivation runs low, his playlists provide the ignition. Instead of waiting for encouragement from others, he turns to music to recharge his spirit, reignite passion, and push through challenges. For him, music is not passive entertainment, but an instrument of mastery, a threefold tool for healing, strategy, and drive. 2. The voice memo vault. Capturing raw insight. Another hidden layer of the Sigma male's phone is his collection of voice memos. To outsiders, they might seem disorganized, even trivial, fragment of thoughts and half-finished ideas. But for him, these recordings are a sacred archive of raw inspiration, catching fleeting ideas. The Sigma male understands that some of the most powerful insights arrive unexpectedly. Instead of allowing these thoughts to vanish, he quickly records them, preserving sparks of creativity, solutions, or deep reflections that might otherwise be lost. Revisiting and refining. The true value comes when he revisits these recordings. What once seemed unclear or fragmented often reveals new meaning with time. A casual thought might evolve into a fully formed idea, a practical strategy, or a personal revelation. Blueprints of growth. Over time, these memos form a personal library of growth, documenting the evolution of his mind and philosophy. They serve as reminders of his progress, a map of his mental journey, and evidence of his ability to turn spontaneous sparks into structured wisdom. 3. The discipline of silence, power, and unsent drafts. One of the most telling signs of a Sigma male's restraint lies in his drafts folder. He often writes out messages he never sends. While many would see this as hesitation, in truth, it is emotional discipline in action, cooling down instead of reacting. When provoked, he may type out a response filled with raw emotion, but instead of hitting send, he pauses. Writing allows him to process his feelings, but not sending allows him to preserve control. This habit shields him from unnecessary conflict and ensures his energy is not wasted in impulsive reactions. Precision in communication. To him, words carry weight and permanence. He believes in speaking less, but with purpose. By holding back until his message is clear and measured, he ensures his words carry authority when they are finally spoken. Drafts as self-reflection. Beyond strategy, unsent drafts also function as mirrors. Seeing his emotions written down gives him a clearer perspective on his inner state. These silent expressions become tools of self-analysis, strengthening his self-control and emotional intelligence. For the archivist approach, old conversations as case studies. A unique habit of Sigma males is their tendency to keep old conversations intact. Unlike sentimental hoarding, this practice has nothing to do with nostalgia. Instead, It is a method of studying human behavior and protecting themselves from manipulation, patterns over promises. He doesn't judge people by their words in the moment, but by their consistency over time. By keeping old conversations, he builds a factual record that cuts through deception. Empty promises, inconsistencies, and repeated behaviors reveal themselves clearly when revisited. Boundaries and protection. These archives also help him enforce boundaries. By revisiting interactions, he can distinguish between one-time mistakes and recurring patterns of disrespect. This allows him to respond with measured precision, either by reducing access, limiting engagement, or cutting ties entirely. Knowledge without confrontation. What makes this practice especially powerful is its silence. He rarely confronts people with their own words. Instead, he uses the knowledge privately, adjusting his investment of time and energy without unnecessary drama. In this way, old conversations act as invisible armor, guiding his decisions and shielding him from betrayal. 5. The Personal Manifesto, the Notes app as a command center. Among all the digital tools at the Sigma male's disposal, none carries as much weight or intimacy as his Notes app. To the average person, this application is a simple space for shopping lists, quick reminders, or perhaps the occasional quote. For the Sigma male, however, it is much more. It is the very nucleus of his inner life, the command center where strategy, reflection, and philosophy converge. Every line typed into this app is intentional. It is a digital archive of his evolving philosophy, a living manuscript that captures a constant refinement of his worldview. Within this digital sanctuary, raw intuition is transformed into guiding principles. Scattered ideas are shaped into coherent strategies, and personal truths are carved into unshakable directives. The arsenal of aphorisms, hard-won maxims. Open the Sigma male's notes, and one finds sharp, declarative statements that read less like casual jottings and more like laws. These aren't internet cliches or recycled wisdom from books. They are distilled truths he has forged through personal trial, error, and self-confrontation. Phrases such as energy is wealth, guard with your life, or never explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you function as compact weapons against chaos. Each maxim acts as both shield and compass, ensuring that when emotions cloud judgment or external forces attempt to sway him, he can return to these condensed truths and reset his frame of mind. They are the bedrock of his personal code, a constitution authored by experience, always ready to anchor him when the world tests his resilience. The war room, where strategy takes shape. Beyond philosophy, the Notes app is where the Sigma male wages his intellectual battles and drafts his victories. It serves as his private war room, where ambition meets practicality. The entries here are not polished essays but tactical blueprints, bullet points of action steps, fragmented scenarios, pros and cons lists, or mind maps that resemble the early sketches of a master architect. He may outline strategies for financial independence, break down career transitions into manageable phases, or sketch out multiple pathways to overcome obstacles. These notes, raw though they may appear, represent the scaffolding of his future. He uses them to dissect problems, anticipate variables, and prepare contingencies. For him, the act of writing is not passive. It is active thought in motion. Every keystroke forces clarity, eliminates vagueness, and transforms lofty dreams into concrete strategies. His Notes app, therefore, becomes a bridge between vision and execution, the mirror of accountability, brutal self-assessment. Perhaps the most striking dimension of the Notes app lies in its merciless honesty. The Sigma male does not only record triumphs or strategies, he documents his failures and weaknesses with the same precision. Lines such as allowed fear to dictate decision-making or withdrew under stress, self-sabotaging behavior, can be found etched into his private records. This is not an exercise in self-pity, but an act of radical accountability. He understands that true growth begins with facing uncomfortable truths head-on. By confronting his own blind spots, he prevents self-deception and ensures he is constantly evolving. These brutally honest self-assessments form a mirror more reliable than any external feedback, because they come from the one person he cannot lie to, himself. In this way, the Notes app is not only a space for planning and philosophizing, it is also his conscience, his truth-teller, and his most loyal mentor. 6. The architecture of energy, muted chats, and unanswered calls. To the casual observer, the Sigma male's phone habits may seem distant, even dismissive. Group chats filled with notifications remain unopened. Calls ring out unanswered. Messages linger without replies. Yet this is not neglect. It is mastery. What looks like detachment is, in fact, a meticulously designed system of energy preservation. The Sigma male views attention as his most limited and precious resource, and he treats it with the same vigilance that a banker treats currency. Every notification is evaluated as a potential tax on his focus, and most are denied. The strategic mute, designing silence. The mute function is one of his sharpest tools. He uses it to carve out silence in a world drowning in noise. Group chats brimming with gossip or pointless chatter are silenced indefinitely, as they serve no purpose other than draining his energy. Even individual conversations with people who habitually unload negativity, complain endlessly, or engage in trivialities are muted. This is not cruelty, it is sovereignty. By silencing the endless buzzing, he creates mental zones of stillness where he can operate on his own terms. When he chooses to engage, it is deliberate and focused, not reactive. The mute button in his hands becomes a sword cutting away the clutter that keeps most people trapped in digital dependency. The power of selective availability. Equally telling is his call log. The Sigma male does not subscribe to the modern expectation of constant availability. A ringing phone is not a command but a request, and he chooses whether to grant it. Calls from draining individuals during moments of focus are ignored. Unknown numbers are left unanswered until their importance is proven. This control is not arrogance. It is an assertion that his mental state and priorities cannot be hijacked at will. By deciding when and with whom he engages, he ensures that conversations remain meaningful, not obligatory. This deliberate selectivity sends a quiet message. Access to him is a privilege, not a guarantee. Over time, those in his circle come to respect the weight of his attention, adjusting their interactions accordingly. The calculus of engagement. Beneath these practices lies a constant, silent equation. Is the cost of this interaction worth the return? The cost is measured in time, focus, and emotional energy. The return is measured in value, whether it is deep connection, useful knowledge, or genuine support. If the equation does not balance in his favor, he disengages. Muted chats and ignored calls are not signs of hostility, but of calculated prioritization. In this way, his phone becomes a fortress, not a leash. In a hyperconnected world, the Sigma male's discipline demonstrates a radical truth. Freedom is not found in answering every demand for attention, but in fiercely protecting one's energy for what truly matters. 7. The curated inner circle, a minimalist contact list. A glance at the Sigma male's contact list reveals a striking truth. It is short, sparse, and fiercely curated. While most people's phones are filled with hundreds of casual acquaintances, old coworkers, and forgotten numbers, his phone book is stripped down to only the essential. This minimalist contact list is not a reflection of social scarcity, but at the summit. Every entry is intentional, every number earned, every connection vetted. Quality as the only currency. For the Sigma male, the worth of a contact is never about volume. His relationships are measured by depth, trust, and proven loyalty. A handful of individuals, family he respects, friends who have demonstrated unwavering loyalty, colleagues of integrity, and mentors of wisdom, make up his entire digital circle. He does not keep numbers just in case, or save contact for appearances. Each entry is a reflection of value, a digital ledger of connections that contribute positively to his life. To him, superficial ties are unnecessary clutter, and he refuses to carry the cognitive weight of maintaining them. Deletion as ritual purification. Just as he is selective about who enters his list, he is equally decisive about who leaves. When relationships turn toxic, one-sided, or stagnant, deletion becomes a ritual of purification. This act is not emotional or vengeful, it is practical. Removing a contact is a clean closure, a way of ensuring that past baggage does not resurface unexpectedly. In this way, his contact list remains not only streamlined but also aligned with his current reality. His phone book is always a living, breathing reflection of his present circle, not a museum of outdated connections. The privilege of presence. To be listed in his contacts is to be granted access to his most limited resource, attention. Few realize it, but this is a silent form of respect. Unlike those who scatter their numbers freely, the Sigma male treats entry into his phone book as a mark of trust. This scarcity elevates the meaning of being included. His minimalist contact list becomes, in effect, a digital mirror of his life philosophy. Fewer but deeper. For him, it is not about knowing everyone. It is about choosing the right few. 8. The philosophy of absence. The war on digital clutter. Perhaps the most defining trait of the Sigma male's device is not what it contains, but what it rejects. His phone is conspicuously free of digital clutter. There are no endless rows of unnecessary apps, no chaotic scatter of redundant icons, no forgotten files gathering digital dust. This minimalism is not mere tidiness. It is strategy. By protecting his digital space, he protects his mental bandwidth. Intentional design, a cockpit, not a playground. Open his home screen, and you will immediately notice the difference. Where others display an overwhelming mosaic of apps, his interface is sleek, functional, and stripped down. Only essential tools, maps, notes, calendar, camera, take center stage. Everything else is carefully sorted into folders or exiled to secondary screens. Each pixel is deliberate. For him, the phone is not meant to entertain or distract. It is a cockpit for purposeful action. By eliminating unnecessary icons, he reduces distractions and ensures that his mental energy is directed toward execution rather than temptation. Ritual purges, digital hygiene. The Sigma male engages in regular digital purges, treating them as acts of mental hygiene. He audits his device with the same precision as a strategist reviewing a battle plan, asking, "Does this serve me?" Apps that once amused but now waste time are deleted. Platforms that generate comparison or agitation are stripped away. Files without purpose are cleared. This act is ruthless but liberating. Just as physical clutter suffocates a room, digital clutter suffocates the mind. By constantly pruning his phone, he ensures that his digital environment remains sharp, efficient, and aligned with his goals. Freedom through limitation. What results from this war on clutter is a paradoxical form of freedom. Most people believe freedom comes from having everything at their fingertips, yet this abundance enslaves them. The Sigma male, by contrast, achieves liberation through limitation. Without addictive apps or endless notifications, he is not pulled into distraction or comparison. His time is reclaimed. His focus is preserved. His phone ceases to be a master and becomes a finely tuned tool of his will. In stripping his device of noise, he strips his mind of it too, achieving clarity, control, and calm in a world drowning in excess. 9. Sovereign of attention. The taming of social media. If social media apps exist at all on the Sigma male's phone, they do not reign as tyrants. They exist as subdued tools, tightly controlled and stripped of their addictive hooks. Where most people are slaves to their feeds, he has reversed the power dynamic. He treats social media with caution, using it only when it serves a purpose and discarding it the moment it threatens his sovereignty. The tool, never the master. For him, social media is not an escape or a source of validation. It is a tool, pure and simple. He might maintain a profile for networking, professional exposure, or selective information gathering, but he never scrolls aimlessly, never seeks approval through likes, never participates in the endless games of comparison. His engagement is direct and intentional. He seeks a piece of information, extracts it, and leaves. To prevent temptation, he may even log out after each use, creating a friction that discourages mindless scrolling. This transforms the platform from bottomless traps into functional references. The silencing of notifications. The Sigma male's greatest act of control lies in silencing social media's notification system. He denies apps the right to demand his attention. No buzz, no pop-up, no badge icon. In this silence, the manipulative dopamine cycle is severed. He dictates when engagement happens, not the app. By removing the Pavlovian triggers that ensnare most users, he ensures his peace of mind remains intact. Social media exists on his device only under his terms, never as an invader of his focus, the detached observer. Ultimately, his relationship with social media is that of an anthropologist, not a tribesman. He observes trends, watches the games people play, and studies patterns without getting emotionally entangled. He sees the manufactured happiness, the staged outrage, and the herd mentality with clear detachment. This perspective allows him to remain informed without being influenced, present without being possessed. In a world where digital approval dictates self-worth, the Sigma male's independence from social media is a quiet but profound rebellion. His silence on these platforms is not absence, it is dominance. 10. The symbolic lens, a gallery of meaning over vanity. Exploring the Sigma male's camera roll is like stepping inside his inner world. Unlike the typical collection of selfies, food snapshots, or stage group photos aimed at social validation, his gallery is different. His photos are not about flaunting an image or curating a persona. They are windows into ideas, reflections, and private symbolism. For him, the camera is not a vanity mirror, but a tool to capture fragments of meaning, moments that resonate with his values, thoughts, or philosophies. The archive of intellectual triggers. Each photograph carries the weight of significance, acting as a trigger for reflection. A picture of an abandoned warehouse might remind him of resilience in the face of decay. A quiet street at dawn could symbolize peace and solitude. Screenshots of passages from books, equations, or diagrams are stored not for public display, but as markers of ideas worth revisiting. His gallery functions as an external repository of his subconscious, a visual diary that seems cryptic to others but is a meaningful catalog to him. The rejection of performative selfies. What stands out most is the absence of endless selfies. The Sigma does not feel compelled to broadcast his face to the world as proof of existence. His self-worth is inwardly secured, not dependent on digital applause. When his own image does appear, it is usually incidental, captured naturally in meaningful context rather than posed spectacles. This absence highlights his refusal to reduce himself to an object meant for external approval, a map of thought and association. Scrolling through his camera roll is like tracing his mind's associative journey. Images of objects, text, or unusual details connect to thoughts, creative projects, or lessons he wants to preserve. It is a map of intellectual breadcrumbs, charting how his mind leaps between ideas. For him, the collection is not about social storytelling. It is a private compass of memory, curiosity, and insight. 11. The tempo of interaction, mastery through delayed replies. Looking into a Sigma male's message history, one finds a rhythm uniquely his own. Messages from others may pile up, replies may be short, and the gaps between responses may stretch long. This is not neglect or disrespect, but an intentional practice of control. The Sigma male refuses to live at the mercy of notifications. His tempo of response is an assertion of autonomy. His time is focus, his rules, rejecting the tyranny of instant messaging. In today's culture, quick responses are equated with care and interest. The Sigma male rejects this notion, recognizing that instant replies are often shallow and reactive. Instead, he takes time to think, ensuring that when he does respond, his words are deliberate and valuable. His communication carries weight precisely because it is not rushed. Silence is a boundary. Delays or even non-responses are part of his discipline. They silently communicate his boundaries. His attention is not a commodity available on demand. This filters his circle, discouraging those who constantly seek validation or attention while strengthening connections with those who value substance over speed. Silence becomes a tool, protective, clarifying, and powerful. The discipline of presence. Underlying this communication style is a deeper discipline. The refusal to fragment attention. When working, he works. When spending time with someone, he is fully present. He avoids the constant pull of his phone, refusing to scatter his mind across multiple conversations. His slower rhythm of response is proof of his commitment to depth, not speed. 12. The hidden library, a mind in perpetual construction. Behind the clean exterior of his phone lies the Sigma male's hidden treasure. Carefully curated folders of research quotes and notes. This is not random hoarding, but a private library built with intentionality. His device becomes a portable workshop of thought, where knowledge is gathered, refined, and prepared for future use. A vault of curated knowledge. Each stored file, whether an article, PDF, or study, has been filtered through his discerning eye. His library spans philosophy, psychology, history, economics, science, and strategy, weaving an eclectic, but purposeful web of insights. What may seem unrelated to others forms a network of ideas in his mind, constantly feeding his worldview and sharpening his understanding of patterns across disciplines. An arsenal of precise thought. Within his collection, quotes hold special prominence. They are not generic motivational lines, but distilled insights from thinkers, leaders, and strategists across history. These words serve as mental tools, providing quick clarity in complex moments. They act as guiding principles, ready to be applied when needed, reinforcing his inner framework of decision-making, the incubator of future ideas. His folders also serve as an incubation chamber. Seeds of ideas, snippets, references, unfinished thoughts, are saved and allowed to mature. Over time, experiences and new knowledge transform these fragments into actionable insights. His phone becomes more than a device. It becomes a thinking partner, quietly storing and nurturing the raw material of his creativity and strategy. 13. The digital curriculum, building through study. Complementing his hidden library is his digital bookshelf, a curated collection of books, essays, and long-form texts. To the Sigma male, this is not mere entertainment, but a structured curriculum for growth. Every piece of reading material is chosen with purpose, aligned with his goals and aspirations. Self-design expertise. His reading list shifts depending on his current focus. If he is refining leadership, his shelf is filled with works on psychology, negotiation, and management. If he is exploring resilience, it contains philosophy, history, and systems theory. He reads as an active student, annotating, questioning, and applying. His method transforms knowledge into skill, ensuring depth of understanding that sets him apart from casual learners. The anti-fragile perspective. Many of his chosen texts revolve around complexity and resilience. He seeks lessons not in comfort but in challenge, studying figures who thrived in adversity, theories that explain survival under chaos, and philosophies that embrace uncertainty. His reading builds an anti-fragile mindset, a way of becoming stronger through difficulty rather than breaking under it, a portable training ground. His digital library turns his phone into a constant dojo for the mind. Spare minutes that others spend scrolling are, for him, chances to absorb wisdom, revisit principles, or sharpen insights. This habit prevents intellectual stagnation, ensuring steady growth and constant refinement. Learning is not occasional. It is woven into the rhythm of his life. 14. The fortress of self, living on internal command. Taken as a whole, the Sigma male's phone is more than a device. It is a mirror of his independence. Every muted chat, carefully stored note, deleted app, and curated folder is an act of sovereignty. In a world engineered to hijack attention and scatter focus, his phone stands as a fortress, organized, intentional, and unassailable. He is not rejecting technology, nor is he hostile to connection. Rather, he uses technology as a tool for autonomy, crafting his digital space as an extension of his principles. By filtering out distractions, rejecting performative behaviors, and structuring his learning, he builds a life directed by inner command. For those who recognize themselves in these habits, it signals something deeper. You are not broken for refusing the frantic rhythms of the herd. You are not cold for protecting your energy with discipline. You are simply wired to live with purpose and sovereignty. Your phone does not mirror the masses because your mind does not follow them. You are not made for conformity. You are made for path. You are Sigma, and in the quiet order of your digital world lies the proof of your independence.